This is the instructional video for my modded Nintendo Wii. All the different emulators are on these different channels on the first screen. This is for GameCube and Wii games. You just click on whatever game you want. The GameCube games can be played either with the GameCube controller that's included with the system, or with a classic controller plugged into the Wii remote. When you click on a GameCube game, it takes a few seconds to load because it's actually a different emulator playing the game. It's just USB loader is a nicer interface. And as you can see, the game loads and plays. You can save on a virtual memory card, or since this is a backwards compatible Wii, you can also save with an actual GameCube card. When you're done saving, just power off the system and turn it back on. As you can see, also on this system, you have the Wii games. You just click on the cover of the Wii game that you want, and it loads as if the disc were in it. Hit the home button. You can go back to the Wii menu. Now the emulators for the original Nintendo and the Super Nintendo work the same. So we'll just click on this one. On both you have the entire North American game library, plus some homebrew games, plus some ROM hacks. So you just pick the game you want, hit A, and it loads. With these, you can either play with the Wii remote turned sideways, or you can play with the GameCube controller or classic controller. Home button, you can save progress, load save games, or go back to the main menu, and then you can exit to the main menu. Now, this emulator is actually for the Nintendo Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and some Japanese only Game Boy games. Here's the game screen for one of the systems. If you hit the folder here, it takes you to the system screen where you got the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Game Boy, and Japanese only games. There's also a folder on this level. You shouldn't press that, because it'll take you into the settings menu that can be very confusing and difficult to get out of. But you click on the system you want, and then it loads all the games. There's over 2,000 games for the 4 GameCube or Game Boy systems. It's not every game in the library, but you do get all the first-party games, all the Mario, Zeldas, Mega Man, and Pokemon games. So you scroll through, find what you want. Loads the game. And you can either play it with a GameCube controller classic or just the Wii remote turned sideways. Home button, save progress, load save games. And we go back to the main menu. And we can exit. Emulators for Nintendo 64. You want to hit A on load the ROM. You load from SD. And you pick whatever game you want. Hit A. And it loads the game. There's about 35 Nintendo 64 games. Most first-party games. Unfortunately, no Mario Party games for the system because they're actually made by Hudson and they don't work with this emulator. Nintendo 64 games are notoriously difficult to emulate. So I included only the games that emulate very well. As you can see, Conkers is a big game, so it takes a few seconds for it to load. Okay, and A to play the game.
Yeah, that's better. You can get it.
You can save. During the game, it'll save on a virtual memory card. And when you're done playing, just hit reset on the system. It takes you back to this menu where you can resume the game, load a different game, or we'll just quit. Alright, next system. For the Sega systems, you actually get the SG-1000, which was a Japanese-only system. You get the Sega Genesis, Sega Master System, Sega Game Gear, and I believe 13 Sega CD games on this emulator. One thing I will show you, most of the emulators will sense what's attached to it, which controller. This one you have to manually set it. So I've got it set up for the GameCube controllers, but if you want to change it, you go to Options, Controls, and then you can see Gamepad, Player 1, hit A, Input Device. You can see you got GameCube, Wii, and if I had a classic controller plugged in, you could see that. So right now we'll just keep it on the GameCube controller, and we'll back out, load game. Mega Drive is the Genesis, Master System, Game Gear, SG-1000, all those emulators work the exact same way. So we'll just hit A for Mega Drive, and with all of the systems, you've got the entire game library for the system. Pick what you want, hit A, on the GameCube controller, if you toggle the yellow switch, it takes you back to the choosing menu. If you have a classic controller plugged in, you hit the home button. So we'll go back, load game. And like I said, the Sega CD works a little different. Hit A. And we'll go out. B always takes you back one menu. So you can see the games. And what you do, hit A. And you get most of them are a bin file and a queue file. You load the queue file. Just think of it as you're queuing up the game. Toggle the yellow switch, so we'll back out and we'll go to exit. Yeah, the Virtual Boy. Basically, you just hit A to load the cartridge, and you got all the games released on it in North America. Hit A again, and it loads the game, and you can just play it with the Wii remote turned sideways, or the GameCube controller, or a classic controller. When you're done playing, you hit the home button. Takes you back here. If you hit the home button a second time, it exits. Here we have TurboGrafx 16. You've got the full North American library. Load game. Load from SD. Then you just pick whatever game you want, hit A. You can play it with the remote turned sideways, with the GameCube controller or the classic controller. When you're done playing, if you hit the home button, it takes you back to this menu. You can continue playing it, load a new game. The only thing about this one, if you hit return to loader, this particular emulator will crash. So you just have to hold down the power button and restart the system. It's the arcade emulator. I can only get it to work with the Wii remotes, but you do get 4-player games like the 4-player Simpsons game, both 4-player Ninja Turtle games. And the good thing about it, if you have 4 Wii remotes, you can play 4 players. There we go. Just hit the A button and it loads. Just keep hitting the A button. Goes through the loading screens. Just keep hitting the minus button and you're just loading in quarters. Then you hit 2 to start. Home button takes you back to this menu. You can select a different game, return to the game. or just hit reset to exit. Got the classic Atari 2600. You've got practically every game for it. All the major releases, a lot of homebrew stuff. There's just a lot on here. Basically, just pick whatever game you want. You hit A. You just play with the Wii remote turned sideways. Home button takes you back to this menu. You can pick a different game. Hit the home button again. You can exit. And then the last of the systems you have is the Atari 7800. Which has a lot of good arcade games on it. That's pretty much what the system was known for. And you've got, the entire game library for this. But if you've played Atari, you know how bad Donkey Kong is for the Atari 2600. And here's what it looks like on the 7800. Actually looks like Donkey Kong. Hit the home button, you can resume, pick a different game, hit home button again, it exits. And on the next screen over, you have the WiiWare games. Most of them are 8-bit style with better sound and graphics, and basically you just load them up and play them like you would a Wii game. And they're made to be played with the Wii remote turned sideways. Done playing, hit the home button, and we can exit out. If you have any questions after your purchase, you can message me and I'll do my best to answer them. Also, a good source is the website WeBrew.org. They have a listing of all the different emulators that I use and different settings, like if you want to play the original Duck Hunt but using the Wii remote like you did the Zapper gun back in the day, it'll show you how to do that. And that's basically it. Thank you.